Tonight is a special night. It's the last one of the year, 2020. In a normal year, it would be a night of parties, happiness, fireworks, and late night wandering. Tonight is different. I'm heading out for a walk as my wife and daughter are falling asleep. The last few months have been tough. The pandemic has not just taken a toll on our health and economy, but also on our mental well-being. We temporarily lost our social life, the ability to travel, see our families and friends, and pursue some of our passions. While I'm waiting for 2021 to arrive, I want to walk alone on London streets, immersed in my thoughts, paying tribute to the city I now call home. In recent years, about 100,000 people used to come to the streets to party the New Year and watch the fireworks on the nearby River Thames. When I first arrived in London, Regent Street was familiar territory, where the posh clubs were located, Movida, Pangea, China White, places that no longer exist. With time, we then moved to the more underground bars in Soho, Camden or Shoreditch, where dress code was less stringent, the crowd more colourful and diverse, and you could see more people smiling and have a genuine good time. Soho in particular was able to retain a good vibe, despite the flow of tourists and the proximity to the uber-rich area of Mayfair. That's why today it hurts walking in Soho without all the buzz and the nightlife. Tonight the streets are empty. Not Chernobyl empty, but a couple of notches above. The faces around are the ones of people who are finishing their shifts. Bus and cab drivers, policemen, photographers, and a few curious like me. It's a cold night, with the temp at around 0 degrees Celsius. I'm walking towards Trafalgar Square. The statue of Admiral Horatio Nelson dominates the empty space. The Admiral is a national hero. It was him who defeated Napoleon 200 years ago. For me, Trafalgar Square is linked to one of the most memorable nights in London. On Sunday the 9th of July 2006, Italy defeated France and won the World Cup. About 10,000 Italians gathered here singing and dancing all night, and I was one of them. From Trafalgar Square, I walked down to Westminster, passing in front of Downing Street, the Parliament and the Big Ben. It's a route common for tourists, less for Londoners. The walk is a majestic reminder of the long-gone British Empire, where decisions made here affected a quarter of the world population. It's a 10:15 when I arrive under the Big Ben. In 45 minutes, at 11 p.m. o'clock, the UK will leave the European Union. A few cameramen are waiting for the time, but I prefer to move on. I grew up in the 90s with a dream of a united Europe. And despite today's setback, the dream is still there. When I first arrived in London, I used to work very late. But no matter how tired or frustrated I was, there was always one thing that cheered me up. And that was the view from the cab on the way home of the lights reflecting on the River Thames. Those lights were telling me that there was still life in the city. Tonight, there is not the same life. But those lights are still on, and the scenery is as beautiful as it was. And as long as those lights are on, life will come back. We just need to be patient. Walking along the South Bank is one of my favorite walks in London. I never got tired of it. If you have only a few hours to spare to see London, this is the walk you must do. The walk usually finishes at the Tower Bridge, the most iconic bridge of London, which is even more impressive at night. City of London when I first started working here in 2005. I found it boring, and for office workers like me. Those were the last years of a golden age of banking, before 2028 brought the excesses to an end. But I soon realized that just a few steps away from the office buildings, there is the most creative, ethnic and buzzing part of London: Brick Lane, Shoreditch, Old Street. "15 years ago, you could still find a concert in a scruffy garage near Old Street. Here, in 2008, I met Valentina. That night, we got a pass that virtually allowed us to enter any club, basement or bar. It was a fun night that ended up, like many in the East End, with a long bus ride to the West End, where I lived. Today, the East London is still a vibrant part of London, although pure artistic vibe has been gradually replaced by startups, co-working space, more famous restaurants, sophisticated cafes, and hipster barbershops. You can notice it in the number of street art. After a big expansion until 2017, the number of walls, hotspots, and places for graffiti is now slowly shrinking, being confined in some areas like Indian reservations. A London guy once told me, "Hipsters are the foot soldiers of capitalism. They are like settlers. They colonize difficult urban areas and make it more attractive for the wealthy to move in. But this process, as sad as it sounds, allows London to constantly change and expand. New suburban areas become more attractive, and they add to the constellation of neighborhoods to explore. The beauty of London is that it's not a city that gravitates on its core, but it's a federation of neighborhoods which are like villages, each with its own characteristics." I'm getting tired. I'm 6 miles away from home when I decide to take a cab. I'm going through an area that I never really explored properly. It's Farringdon, Holborn, Russell Square, Chancery Lane, and tonight is probably not the best occasion to close the knowledge gap. I stop at Camden Town, right at the edge of the Camden Market. Once a popular tourist spot for European teenagers, I saw Camden reinventing itself for more amateur and artistic crowd. I saw the area fighting against the touristic legacy based on cheap food, Dr. Martens shops, and vintage to rubbish, overpriced clothing. It has now become attractive to more Londoners, young professionals, also driven by the vivid music scene. Every time we came to Camden spending a night out, it was often with live music, good vibes and cozy concert. Camden is also familiar for the Regent's Canal, a man-built waterway system that connected London with Birmingham. I know that if I just follow the canal, it will bring me home. Past Camden, the canal flanks Regent's Park, and here there is an opportunity to climb on Primrose Hill to get a view over London. On a traditional New Year's Eve, this is a prime spot to watch the fireworks. Tonight, in this dark hour, it's a place to dream about 2021. I hope to be able to see friends again and have fun over a beer, as we used to have. I hope to be able to go to a live concert and get lost in the music. I hope we will be able to cut commuting time and live, study and work more in our neighborhood. I hope to be able to meet new friends and colleagues in person this time. I just hope to have a normal year back.